Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Miss Dina English. I'm Dina, and I'm so happy you're here with us today.
And I'm Tom. Thank you for joining us again. Maybe you're listening while you're driving, cooking, walking, or simply relaxing at home.
Wherever you are, we hope you can enjoy this conversation and learn some useful English naturally.
Today, we have a topic that many English learners are curious about. We're going to talk about how to speak more like an American.
This episode is designed for B1 to B2 learners, so our conversation will sound more natural than beginner English, but we'll still speak clearly and explain important ideas.
You don't need to understand every single word. Just relax, listen carefully, and let your ears become more familiar with natural English.
Before we begin, here's a simple question for you to think about while you listen.
When you hear an American speaking English, what sounds different to you?
Maybe it's the pronunciation.
Maybe it's the speed.
Or maybe it's the expressions and vocabulary they use every day.
Keep that question in your mind because we'll come back to it throughout this episode.
Tom, I think many learners believe that speaking like an American means having a perfect accent.
Yes, I hear that all the time. People often say, if I don't sound exactly like a native speaker, my English isn't good.
But that idea can actually make learning more difficult.
Exactly. Your goal should not be to become another person. Your goal should be to speak naturally, confidently, and clearly.
A strong accent is not necessarily a problem.
Not at all. People from different parts of the United States have different accents too.
That's a great point. Someone from New York sounds different from someone in Texas or California.
Even native speakers sometimes ask each other to repeat something.
So today, we're not trying to change who you are.
We're simply looking at habits that make American English sound smooth and natural.
Let's start with something interesting. Have you ever noticed that Americans often connect their words together?
Definitely. Instead of saying every word separately, they link words into one smooth sound.
For example, if someone says, "What are you doing?" you may expect to hear every word clearly.
But in real conversation, it often sounds much faster and smoother.
The words almost become one piece instead of four separate words.
At first, learners think Americans are speaking too quickly.
But many times they are not speaking faster. They are simply connecting sounds.
That changes everything.
Another thing learners notice is that Americans don't always pronounce every letter strongly.
Right. Some sounds become softer or even disappear in casual conversation.
This doesn't mean they're speaking incorrectly.
It simply makes speech flow more naturally.
I remember when I first listened to American podcasts every day.
What surprised you the most?
Honestly, I realized I knew almost every word individually, but I couldn't recognize them when they were spoken naturally.
That's such a common experience.
I thought my vocabulary was the problem.
But it was really your listening skills adjusting to connected speech.
Exactly. Once I became familiar with those patterns, everything started sounding much clearer.
That's encouraging because it means improvement comes with practice.
Another common misunderstanding is that learners focus only on pronunciation.
Pronunciation is important, but it's only one part of sounding natural.
Vocabulary also matters.
Yes, Americans often choose simple words instead of very formal ones.
Some learners memorize long and complicated vocabulary because they think it sounds more impressive.
But everyday conversations usually use simple language.
Imagine meeting a friend for coffee.
You probably wouldn't speak like you're giving a university lecture.
Exactly. Natural English is often simple English.
That's one reason movies and TV shows are so useful for learners.
They show how people really communicate in everyday situations.
You hear greetings, jokes, small talk, opinions, and casual reactions.
Speaking of reactions, Americans use them constantly.
That's true. Short responses keep conversations alive.
Instead of staying silent, people often react with small expressions.
They might show surprise, agreement, interest, or excitement using only a few words.
Those little responses make conversations feel friendly.
Without them, even correct English can sound distant.
Here's a simple example. Imagine your friend says, "I finally got the job."
You probably wouldn't answer with only "congratulations."
You might add another short reaction to show genuine excitement.
Those small moments make conversations feel real.
They also make you sound much more comfortable speaking English.
So speaking like an American isn't only about your mouth.
It's also about rhythm, vocabulary, reactions, and confidence.
And confidence grows little by little every time you practice with real English instead of perfect English.
That idea is going to guide the rest of our conversation, because once you stop chasing perfection, you can finally start sounding more natural. Earlier, we talked about pronunciation, connected speech, and using simple vocabulary. Now let's go a little deeper into what Americans actually do during conversations.
I like this part because communication is much more than saying words correctly.
Absolutely. One thing I notice is that Americans often sound very relaxed, even when they are talking about serious topics.
That's true. They usually don't try to sound perfect. They simply try to communicate clearly.
Many English learners stop speaking because they are afraid of making mistakes.
Meanwhile, native speakers make small mistakes all the time and usually continue talking without worrying.
That's an important lesson. Fluency is often more valuable than perfection.
Of course, accuracy is still important, but you shouldn't let it stop every conversation.
Imagine you're talking with an American colleague at work.
If you pause after every sentence to check your grammar, the conversation becomes difficult.
But if you keep speaking naturally, people usually understand you much more easily.
Exactly. Confidence helps communication.
Another thing learners notice is that Americans often use contractions.
Yes, instead of saying I am, they usually say I'm.
Instead of we are, they naturally say we're.
And instead of they will, you'll often hear they'll.
Using contractions makes your English sound smoother and more conversational.
It also makes listening easier because you'll recognize these patterns more quickly.
Of course, there are situations where people speak more formally.
During a presentation, a job interview, or an important speech, people may pronounce words more carefully.
But in everyday conversations, contractions are extremely common.
Another habit is using friendly fillers.
Fillers?
Yes, small words that give the speaker time to think while keeping the conversation natural.
Instead of complete silence, people might use short expressions before continuing.
Beginners sometimes believe silence sounds more professional.
But long silences can actually make a conversation feel uncomfortable.
A natural filler gives your brain a second to organize your thoughts.
Of course, we shouldn't use too many.
Right. If every sentence contains several fillers, people may lose interest.
Balance is the key.
Speaking of balance, Americans also like asking follow-up questions.
That's something many learners forget.
Imagine your friend says, I just came back from Chicago.
Some learners simply answer, "That's nice."
But Americans often continue the conversation by asking another question.
They might ask what the city was like, what food they tried, or what they enjoyed most.
Those questions show interest.
Good conversations are usually shared by both people.
Exactly. Communication isn't a performance.
It's teamwork.
I like that description.
Me too. Another characteristic of American conversations is positive energy. Even when people disagree, they often begin with something positive.
Instead of immediately saying someone is wrong, they may first recognize part of the other person's opinion.
That makes discussions friendlier.
It also helps people feel respected.
Respect is a very important part of communication. Let's talk about small talk because visitors to the United States notice it everywhere.
Definitely. Americans often have short conversations with cashiers, neighbors, coworkers, or even strangers waiting in line.
The topics are usually simple.
The weather, weekend plans, sports, hobbies, food, or travel.
The purpose isn't always to exchange important information.
Sometimes it's simply to create a friendly atmosphere.
Many learners worry because they think every conversation must be interesting.
But small talk is often intentionally simple.
It helps people feel comfortable before discussing more serious topics.
Here's another tip. Pay attention to intonation.
Intonation is the music of your voice.
Two people can say exactly the same words but sound completely different.
One person may sound excited.
Another may sound bored.
Americans often change their intonation to show interest, surprise, curiosity, or enthusiasm.
That's why copying entire sentences from podcasts or movies can be so useful.
Instead of practicing only individual words, repeat whole phrases exactly as you hear them.
This technique helps your pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence at the same time.
I actually started doing that several years ago.
Really? What did you practice with?
Short scenes from television shows. I would pause after one sentence, repeat it several times, and then continue.
That sounds much more enjoyable than memorizing long vocabulary lists.
It was. I wasn't only learning words, I was learning how people naturally expressed emotions.
That's something textbooks sometimes cannot fully teach.
Exactly. Real conversations have laughter, interruptions, excitement, and changes in emotion.
They don't always follow perfect grammar, but they sound authentic.
So, if your goal is to sound more American, don't focus only on individual sounds. Listen to complete conversations, notice the rhythm, copy natural expressions, ask follow-up questions, and don't be afraid to let your personality appear while you speak, because that's where truly natural communication begins. We've talked about pronunciation, rhythm, vocabulary, and conversation habits. Now let's finish today's episode by giving you some practical ideas you can start using right away.
I like practical advice because learning English only improves when we actually use it.
Exactly. Listening to podcasts is wonderful, but speaking is equally important.
Many learners wait until they feel ready.
The funny thing is that nobody ever feels completely ready.
That's true. Confidence usually comes after practice, not before it.
So if you want to sound more American, don't wait for the perfect moment.
Create small opportunities to speak every day.
Even talking to yourself can be helpful.
Some people laugh when they hear that idea.
But it's actually one of the best ways to practice without pressure.
You can describe what you're doing while cooking, cleaning, or walking.
You can also explain your plans for tomorrow or talk about your day.
The important thing is to think in English instead of translating every sentence.
That's another habit many advanced learners develop over time.
At first, it feels difficult.
But little by little, your brain begins choosing English automatically.
Another useful exercise is recording yourself.
I know many people dislike hearing their own voice. I used to feel the same way.
Almost everyone does.
But recordings help you notice pronunciation, speed, and places where you hesitate.
They're not there to criticize you.
They're there to show your progress.
If you save recordings every few weeks, you'll hear how much you've improved.
That's often more motivating than you expect.
Let's review a few useful ideas from today's conversation.
First, don't chase perfection.
Chase communication.
Second, listen to real American conversations regularly.
Notice how people connect words and react naturally.
Third, practice complete phrases instead of isolated vocabulary.
This helps you learn pronunciation, rhythm, and natural sentence patterns together.
Fourth, don't forget small talk.
Those short conversations build confidence for longer discussions.
Finally, practice consistently.
15 minutes every day is often better than 2 hours once a week.
Before we finish, let's review some vocabulary from today's episode.
The first word is rhythm.
Rhythm is the natural pattern and flow of speech.
Next is intonation.
Intonation means the way your voice rises and falls while speaking.
We also use the word contraction.
A contraction is a shortened form such as I'm, you're, or they've.
Another useful word is natural.
If something sounds natural, it feels comfortable and similar to how native speakers usually communicate.
We also talked about fluency.
Fluency means speaking smoothly and expressing your ideas without stopping too often.
Another important word is hesitate.
To hesitate means to pause because you're unsure what to say next.
Finally, we use the word confidence.
Confidence is believing that you can communicate even if you make a few mistakes.
Those words are useful not only for today's topic, but for many conversations about language learning.
Here's a challenge for everyone listening.
Today, choose one short sentence from this episode.
Listen to it several times.
Then, repeat it until your rhythm sounds smooth and comfortable.
Don't worry if it isn't perfect.
Every repetition trains your ears and your mouth together.
Learning to sound more American isn't about pretending to be someone else.
It's about becoming a clearer, more confident English speaker while keeping your own personality.
Your accent tells part of your story, and there's nothing wrong with that.
What matters most is that people understand you and enjoy talking with you.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today.
We hope this conversation helps you feel more relaxed and confident every time you speak English.
If you enjoyed this episode, tell us where you're listening from and write one American expression you would like to use more often.
We always enjoy reading your comments because they help build a friendly community of English learners from around the world.
Keep listening, keep practicing, and remember that every conversation is another step forward.
Thanks for joining us here on Miss Dina English. We'll see you again very soon in our next episode. Goodbye.
Take care, keep smiling, and happy learning.